All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation. My name is Reed Nelson. This is Izzy Alkafas. This is This Week in Rec. Sweet 16 edition, spring 2015. A lot of upsets tonight. Not many great games, but a heck of a lot of upsets. So let's get right to it. First game of the night, Bulls North show up with only 4 players. Mike Wiskus is one of those 4 players. He's barely playing. He really wasn't playing at all. He's very injured. And so I thought that was going to be a blowout. Mike comes, and the Bulls almost at some point take the lead. But 1 seed Gorillas do advance. Talk about the win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mike, I think they played with 4 for about 3 minutes of game time. 3 minutes of game time?
It felt like longer than that.
Yeah. And then they had 5. And then Mike, he probably played a total of 10 minutes. And then Steve Ellis showed up. Or Steve Ellis showed up first, and then Mike to give them 5.
Yes.
And then Gino showed up. So they ended up having 7 guys there. It just took them a while to get there.
Yeah, they had 5, but Mike was like 4.5 is what they really had.
Yeah, and it was like that until Mike got there, and it was probably about 10 minutes or so. They're a tough team because they like we highlighted yesterday. They have the role players. They have the guys that do fill in the spots. Rue's their perimeter defender. You have D'Angelo, who's just active. He can protect the rim. You have Mike, who's that long wing defender. You have Rod, who's your primary scorer. Is Mike? Yes. And then you have J. Mike, who kind of runs the show for him. He's their point guard. I mean, they have, and Gino's another solid defender that they have. Mike obviously is injured, so wasn't really much of a value, but they can beat any team. They're solid. So I'm not surprised that they were able to come back and make it a game with the Gorillas, but the Gorillas just close the deal. Gorillas
control rebounding 40-23, 17 plus, almost doubling them up. So the Gorillas will play the Bulls South, who defeated the Celtics, who also doubled up, or the Bulls South also doubled up Celtics on rebounding 32-17. I didn't see much of that game. Talk about that win there by the Bulls South.
Yeah, I think they just outsized them. Celtics got into a very one-on-one type isolation game. Johnny went at Abdi a whole bunch of times. Johnny's got that. He's got such sick handles, and he's got that little Dirk fadeaway in the middle of the lane. And Abdi was going back at him, and neither of them can really check each other. So I think the Bulls South did a better job of playing team basketball than the Celtics, and that's kind of been my issue with the Celtics. They go isolation, they beat teams with their offensive talent, and they don't play defense, and they didn't play defense again tonight.
1 versus 9. Now, we'll mention this later in the show, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all lose tonight. But a lot of those games were not upsets, so we'll talk about that in a bit. Gorillas 1 seed, Bulls South 9 seed tomorrow night. Fridley, who wins this game and why?
This will be a close. I mean, Bulls South, I can see taking this game. I think it's a toss-up game. They have big players. They have big guys. The Gorillas can play big. It really depends on the guards. I think there's a slight advantage with the Gorillas guards in terms of Noe and Bryant versus Abdi and Zhao. Abdi and Zhao are just as good offensively. But I think the fact that Bryant plays really good defense kind of offsets or kind of sways the advantage into the Gorillas' favors in the backcourt. So I think front court it's a wash. I think backcourt a little bit better. Gorillas have Chris, and you got to roll with Chris because he's the best player, and nobody on Bulls South can guard him.
Okay, so let's go to the other games. Let's do free ballers, shockers. Anthony Parker, 71% from the field, 31 points. And this 71%, these are not all layups. I mean, he was hitting everything from all over the field. If he shows up to 5 games this year, he's your MVP. I mean, he's just absolutely insane. I would have probably voted him, but he only showed up for 2 games, so it's tough to say. The Shockers just, I mean, there were 3 possessions in a row where I counted the passes. In the second half, 1 pass in 3 possessions. I mean, they were dribbling down the court, put up a shot, next possession, dribble down, put up the shot, next possession, one pass and shot. It was just awful. No rhythm.
I'm guessing those 3 possessions consisted of 2 Ethan Walters and 1 Jake Gave.
And what happens when Ethan or Jake get the ball is that the teams, they tend to watch them because they're kind of, what are they going to do?
I think if we do a flashback to yesterday, Ethan does a much better job of not, being that guy on the Shockers. Come on. He did the exact same thing that he does for the Pigeons on the Shockers.
I think the question is am I going to do the effort to go back to yesterday's clip and split it
like the fade in, kind of like the old school like sitcoms where just like 44 minutes.
I mean, in Ethan's defense, we ask him to do that for the Pigeons. He doesn't have to do that for the Shockers. But with the Pigeons, I mean, he went for 28 points tonight on 67% free throw shooting. He picked up his 4th foul with 18 minutes to go in the second half. We'll get to that in a second. So, I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction on the game, but I think that Ethan will defer slightly to Jake. So
yeah, and I don't.
That's where we just did it right there. So okay, it's in. Okay, Pigeons Malice. I was intimately involved in this game, so I'm not going to say much. Was this the game of the night? It was a rough game. There were a lot of fouls. There was a lot of fouls not called. There were 27 fouls called. There was probably about 59 fouls committed. It was rough. But I think the refs were consistent. You watched it for the most part. What are your thoughts?
I was pretty much passed out on the sideline, so I missed your intimate. Were you like rubbing your nipples or something?
I was playing in the game.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean by interesting. I was watching one half of the court. So I was, in the Pigeons in the first half, Malice in the second half. Matt did it again tonight. Bean?
Yep.
It's Bean, right? He did it again tonight. He was making some tough shots yesterday. Made equally tough shots tonight. Pigeons ran on Malice. They took advantage of the speed. They picked up the tempo, and they were able to take Malice
life,
out.
Baby.
Perfect timing. And what I highlighted with Malice was get the water coming in the flashback. I did say that Malice would implode. I mean, they're a team that I expected to implode a lot. Calvin was that guy tonight. He was just off his rocker tonight. Like, just freaking out, throwing his hands up, pacing back and forth. He subbed out. And then didn't sub out. Like, he got called for a foul, starts marching to the bench like he's subbing out. Then he kind of does like a right-hand turn, starts walking as if he's going to go get a drink. And then he does a U-turn, starts walking back onto the court. And they had 6 guys in the court. And then they're like, timeout. Briggs goes, timeout. Like, Calvin he morphs. It's like he needs like an exorcism.
Apparently we have the video from the end of the game. It'll give you a kind of an idea of how full contact the game was. We'll run that video now. Devin got off a fadeaway shot. I thought that was going in because I'm like, it's Devin. It's going to go in. He's going to hit it. But it didn't, and that's how it ended.
Yeah, I missed the end of it. I went to go shower and change. Hopefully I can catch the end of it. However, I didn't pack a second pair of boxers. So I was frantically looking for my second pair of boxers. I couldn't find it. I'm standing next to you, Commando, by the way. So don't get intimate with me here because you'll get the business. So I missed it.
Well, you'll have to watch the highlight then.
Take me through it. How about that?
I mean, I don't have the steel trap memory like you do. So to me, it's really blurry. Honestly. I remember I was supposed to guard Julius, but I was guarding Omar, and I fouled Omar. He wasn't shooting. They could have called if they were in the double bonus. Probably should have gone to the line to shoot 2. Then what would have happened? Who knows? But that ending sequence, there was a lot of pushing and shoving, as you probably saw in the video. But the Pigeons held on. They held the lead most of the game. I mean, let's not give the Pigeons the credit they deserve. They've won now 5 straight games. They beat Malice by 19 last week. They beat Malice again tonight. They've got a very tough matchup versus the Free Ballers, and keep in mind that Shockers and Pigeons are pretty much the exact same team. And the Free Ballers crushed the Shockers tonight. Crushed. That was without Xavier Hussein, who was apparently at the Rolling Stones concert. You were making that up, weren't you?
I wish. Honestly, I'm not that clever. It is so absurd that he would be at the Rolling Stones.
Oh, you're serious? He was.
Serious.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't make that up. It's too unbelievable to be made up.
So, Free Ballers, Pigeons, go ahead. We know what you're going to say, but say it anyways.
Free Ballers by 25.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of Free Ballers,
Yeah.
can we? You know what I was thinking tonight? I was like, can we put that on a banner? Is Lifetime going to be okay with that on a banner? I think Free Ballers will play.
Yeah, but you have to kind of like do a logo, like a nutsack.
Okay.
If you do, I think that kind of
Battery's running dead on the camera. So, 15-seeded Goodfellas take down the 2-seeded Blazers. The 15-2 Curse. Blazers didn't look good at all. There was no rhythm. The Goodfellas are much bigger than them, size-wise, and they kind of dominated the entire game. Talk about this game a little bit, even though I think you were playing during it.
Yes, but I got a glimpse, and the Goodfellas turned the ball over 18 times, I believe. The Blazers turned the ball over 7 times, and the Goodfellas won by 13 points. I don't know how that happens. How do you win the turnover margin by 11 points? So you had 11 more possessions than the other team, and they beat you by 13 points. How is that possible? The Blazers were overmatched. Garland and E both had last night they played great. Tonight they carried again. They just couldn't guard them. And if you win the turnover margin by that much, you should win every single time. And the fact that the Blazers did that and they still couldn't win, they would have lost by 30 points had they not had all those steals.
Rebels defeat Fob 5. Rebels, all 5 of their starters were in double digits. Dustin DuPont, made all the difference. Like you said last night, it was really over before I began talk about this game.
Yeah, it was close for, like I said, about 22 minutes. 20 minutes. It was close for 20 minutes. Then the Rebels hit 2 threes at the end of the half to extend their lead to, I believe, 10 or 11 in the start of the half. Then it kind of bounced around between 10 and 15 points for, the next 10 minutes, and then Fob just completely ran out of gas. I screwed us over. Junius and I and Casey had just played a game. We were Iron 5. They threw us on the long court, and they threw us with Wes and Angie, who decided they don't like calling fouls. If we would have had the short court with Ronnie and I don't know the other dude's name, they called everything tight throughout. I know for the Gorillas game, I don't know about the rest of the games, but they called the game so tight in the Gorillas game that I think if the Rebels 5 game would have been on this court, on the main court, I guess, short court, Fob would have had a chance to stick around longer. The issue is just ran out of gas. I think the Rebels kind of took it lax on defense for the most part, and Fob just couldn't steal it. But everything just kind of worked against them tonight. Dustin screwed his own blood brother over, like legitimately blood brother. He brings Jake into the league and then just ditches him. Oh, this is awesome. Ooh, this is perfect.
Okay, we're going to change venues here in a second, but I do want to cover Rebels Goodfellas Fall 2014 rematch tomorrow night. Who wins this game and why?
Is this part of your intimate plan? That you found out that I was commando, and then you decide to shut the lights off on us here?
That's good. That's good. But we're going to just cover this game, and then we'll move on to some light for the second venue change tonight.
Rebels, Goodfellas. Rebels need an early game. Goodfellas need a late game. Rebels are getting an early game. Who's missing for the Goodfellas? I have no idea.
Now, let me explain why the Rebels are getting an early game. Ryan Jansen is playing an open Ultimate Hoops game at 8:30 playoff game. So whenever that happens, that's an automatic priority. if you will, because he's paying for the league over in St. Louis Park. We don't like to do the both playoffs in the same night, but we have to at some point. So,
yeah, I just don't know what that means for the Goodfellas. It concerns me a bit. So, if that's the case, I'm going to go with the Rebels just because I don't know who's missing for the Goodfellas if it's early. I have no idea, and you didn't. I'm sure you didn't catch who.
I'm not the one who took the request. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to roll Rebels. Full strength Goodfellas against full strength Rebels would be a fantastic game, like it was, last. I mean, I guess it wasn't. I think the Goodfellas won lopsided last season. Rebels won lopsided this season, but on paper, these two teams should have a great game. So the fact that they were, polar opposites in the last two seasons, and I guess most of the guys played for off constantly, and the Goodfellas, and that was a championship game. It's a great game if they're at full strength. So I'm going to roll with the Rebels just because I know that they're going to have like 12, 13 guys at the game, and that's going to be enough subs for the win.
So so far you've got Gorillas, Free Ballers, Rebels. We'll be right back with the last section of the bracket.
Are we?
Venue change number 3. Okay, so UANO, they really dominated the Muskies in every sense of the word. The Muskies shot 15 of 54 from the field. It was not a good night for the Muskies. UANO wins easily. Talk about that game.
I was playing, so I could only watch. I heard a few let's goes. I looked over and they were down. I think they cut it to maybe 4 in the first half. Like it was 27-31. That might have even been the second half. But I assumed Trevor would play for UANO and the Muskies wouldn't be able to score, and that's exactly what happened. They just don't have a creator. That's been my issue with them all season. They have Trevor as a guy that can create shots for himself, and then nobody else. So you need that guy. Trevor decided to play for UANO. I think it was the right decision. He's been with that team a little bit longer, and they needed him more. And that tilted the scales. I'm not surprised by that outcome whatsoever.
Big Smash, 19 seed, defeated the 3-seeded Avengers. I want to talk a little bit about the seeding meeting, the regular season, and all that stuff. We'll get to that in a second. I didn't necessarily see this as an upset. I thought Big Smash would win. Glenn Fair, I knew he was going to be here. I knew Greg would be here. Greg in a T-shirt. Even though he had a Big Smash jersey on after the game, I don't know what the deal was with that. I know.
Did he get teed up?
I'm assuming I was playing at the time. So, like I said, Beehive. Big Smash just renamed their team name the Beehive because that's kind of what they are. So, but they win and they go to the Elite Eight. Talk about that win, even though you only were watching half of the Pigeons game. And then their matchup with UANO, which could be a fun one.
For who? For the Big Smash?
Both teams,
I guess. Yeah, I was watching. I was actually watching their game a little bit more than the Pigeons Malice game because I could only see half of the Malice game because the scorch table was in my way and I was laying down. But I got a full glimpse of Big Smash Avengers, and Avengers were up they're up in the first half, the whole way. They're up most of the second half, and then Big Smash just started getting stops. Avengers missed layups, missed open shots, had a couple turnovers, got sloppy, didn't go to their main. I mean, Noe and Chris didn't dominate the ball enough. I don't feel in the last handful of minutes to kind of close the game out. Chris made a couple passes to like Jake and Sean, not Sean, but and you got to keep the ball in your best player's hands in that situation. And I said yesterday, Glenn needs to offset Chris, and if he does that, Big Smash will win. And I think he outscored him by 2 points, and he shot better than Chris from the field. He did his part, and Big Smash got the win.
Big Smash UANO to go to the Final Four. Will UANO be making their first trip to the Final Four, or will Big Smash making their third trip?
Yeah. I don't know if Sam can guard Glenn whatsoever. I have no idea. If Sam can guard Glenn just a little bit, UANO has, I feel, the advantage because I like kind of their pieces. They play really well together. Big Smash they play very one-on-one the whole game. They complain a lot. They implode. They complain to the refs. And UNO just kind of grind. They move the ball around. They can all shoot. Storm, I love his game. I think Trevor and Storm can really take advantage of lazy defense by Big Smash. But Glenn, does Glenn sway it enough? I've never seen anybody really stop Glenn, so I'm gonna stick with Big Smash and I feel like they're gonna just overpower him on the glass. Was Marquardt here tonight?
I don't remember.
Interesting.
I don't remember. Sorry, tonight's kind of a blur. Like I said, I don't have the trap memory like you do.
Yeah, so I'm gonna roll Big Smash there, and yeah. So what do we have now? The prediction is Big Smash. So who's in the final four?
Big Smash, Free Ballers, Gorillas, Rebels.
So the 10, the 12, and the 19.
Yes.
So 1, 10, 12, 19.
That's your prediction.
Yep. And so there's 2 Fridley teams left. UNO and the Free Ballers.
Don't forget about the Pigeons.
Oh, and the Pigeons. But, I mean, they're not going to...
Jeez, Louise.
So, I mean, Pigeons, they're out. I mean, Free Ballers going to win. So, Fridley, Celtics, Avengers, Fob, Blazers, Malice. All lost tonight. So, there goes kind of the shift where Fridley was having a pretty good stretch of making it to the Final Four and the finals and winning championships. They got dominated tonight.
Does the regular season mean anything? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 7 out of the 8 teams that did not play yesterday lost tonight. I felt the seeds were good. I think the seeding committee did a good job. But if we're going to let 24 teams out of 34 into the postseason, and then we're going to see what we saw tonight, does the regular season mean anything anymore?
Well, this is why I don't like the record argument, because what happens is the Fridley teams battle each other out, and they end up with 5-3, 6-2 records, and in Bloomington South they battle each other out, and they end up with 5-3, 4-4 records. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I got 7 out of the 8 games right. The only game that I thought the better seed was going to win and they lost was the Pigeons. Mm-hmm. So I predicted the 2, the 3, the 4. No,
2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8.
5, 6, 7, 8 to lose. So I'm not surprised whatsoever. I think Bloomington is just better this season. Based on the committee, it's just they put way too much stock into 6-2 over 5-3, and this is a perfect example. And I'll be able to bring this up next season. That record doesn't really necessarily mean as much as it should. I think a lot of it should be based on resume and strength of schedule based on the league. I mean, if Fridley just kind of has that feeling of being weaker, that should be discussed. So I think hopefully 6-2 doesn't automatically make it over 5-3. Like it kind of did this season. There was not a single 5-3 team over a 6-2 team.
Well, regardless, love the upsets. A couple of good finishes towards the end. Tomorrow night, we're in Fridley, Elite 8. We will see you all there.